Lena Rivers had always believed that love, real love, was built quietly. It didn't roar or demand attention. It existed in the small gestures. A morning coffee brewed just right, a hand on the small of your back as you crossed the street, a shared laugh over a show you'd seen 100 times. For 7 years, she and Aaron had built their love like this, brick by careful brick. From the outside, their life was enviable. Aaron, a 35-year-old architect with a confident smile, was well regarded in Portland for his creativity. Lena, 32, ran a small but thriving art gallery downtown, her days filled with color and soft music and the quiet satisfaction of connecting buyers to beauty. Together, they lived in a 2-story townhouse in the Hawthorne district, its walls covered in art and warm photos from trips to Paris, Kyoto, and Santorini. People said they were the couple who had it all. But sometimes, what looks whole from a distance is already cracking at the edges. The first crack came in whispers. Aaron had always worked long hours during big projects, but lately, his schedule had shifted from demanding to evasive. He no longer texted her updates during late nights at the office. He would come home smelling faintly of perfume that wasn't hers, his hair mussed as though someone else's fingers had run through it. Lena noticed, but didn't confront him. Not yet. She told herself stories instead. Maybe he was stressed about the new hotel commission. Maybe he'd started sitting in on client dinners again. Maybe she was imagining the distance because she'd been reading too many crime novels. Then there were the phone calls. She started waking in the early hours to find Aaron missing from bed. She would pad down the hallway and hear his voice, a low murmur, from the living room or kitchen. When she appeared, he would smile and say, "Just a client in a different time zone," before ushering her back to bed with a kiss on the forehead. But the smiles didn't reach his eyes anymore. One Tuesday evening in late October, Lena came home early from the gallery after a shipment mix-up canceled her last appointment. The townhouse was quiet, golden light spilling through the blinds. She set her keys on the counter and noticed something on the floor by the bookshelf, a small, folded piece of paper. Curious, she picked it up and unfolded it. The handwriting was feminine, looping, and neat. "She doesn't deserve you. Soon it will be just us." Lena's blood ran cold. She read it 3 times, her hands trembling. She checked the envelope. There wasn't one. Someone had slipped this into their home. By the time Aaron came home that night, she had rehearsed a dozen ways to confront him. But when he walked in with takeout from her favorite Thai restaurant, looking tired but happy to see her, the words caught in her throat. He kissed her cheek. "You're quiet tonight. Everything okay?" She opened her mouth, closed it, and finally said, "Yeah, just tired." But she tucked the note into her bedside table drawer like a secret ticking bomb. 2 nights later, she woke at 2:13 a.m. to the soft sound of footsteps. Sliding carefully out of bed, she followed the noise to Aaron's study. The door was cracked, and light spilled through. She peered inside and saw him leaning over his desk, phone pressed to his ear, speaking in a voice she barely recognized, soft, urgent, tinged with tenderness. "I can't stop thinking about you, no." She doesn't know. She's asleep. Lena felt the floor tilt beneath her. Her hand gripped the doorframe to steady herself. She backed away silently, her heart slamming against her ribs, and slipped back into bed before he returned 10 minutes later. He kissed her shoulder as he slid under the covers. "Go back to sleep, babe," he whispered. Her eyes stayed wide open until dawn. The following week was a haze of suspicion. Lena found a restaurant receipt in Aaron's coat pocket. Dinner for 2 at a high-end Italian place he'd claimed to be working late. His phone, once left casually around the house, was now always in his pocket or face down. The warmth in their home curdled into dread. Every shared meal, every casual conversation felt like a performance, a fragile facade covering something dark and sharp beneath. One evening, Lena tried to distract herself by reading in bed. She reached for her novel on the nightstand and froze. Another note was tucked into the pages. She's starting to suspect. We'll have to act soon. This time, Lena didn't wait. Her hands shaking, she crept downstairs to the living room where Aaron was watching TV. "What is this?" she demanded, shoving the note toward him. He blinked, confused, then frowned. "What are you talking about?" "This. I found it in my book." "Who's writing this to you?" Aaron's expression softened into something she hated, a condescending half-smile. "Lena. This isn't funny. I have no idea what that is." Are you sure you're not imagining things? She stared at him, incredulous. He reached for her hand. You've been stressed. The gallery, the shipments, maybe you're just overtired. Lena yanked her hand away and stormed upstairs. In her chest, something was breaking. Not loudly, but like ice cracking underfoot, silent, inevitable, deadly. She couldn't sleep. When Aaron finally came to bed hours later, Lena kept her eyes closed, her breathing even. But inside, her mind was a whirlpool of fear and suspicion. She no longer recognized the man beside her, or the life she thought was hers. And somewhere in the house, betrayal was already growing teeth. The next morning, Lena woke to an empty bed. Aaron's side of the mattress was still warm, but the house was silent. Her first instinct was to check her phone. No messages from him. Downstairs, the kitchen smelled faintly of coffee. A mug sat in the sink with a ring of black liquid dried inside. But Aaron was gone. Lena's chest tightened. She checked the clock, 6:42 a.m. He didn't usually leave until at least 7:30. When she tried calling, it went straight to voicemail. The gallery opened at 10, but she couldn't focus on anything until then. She sat on the living room sofa, the house still and golden in the morning light, and tried to calm the tremor in her hands. The note from the night before burned in her memory. She's starting to suspect. We'll have to act soon. Who was writing these? Maya? Another woman? And why leave them where Lena could find them? Unless that was the point. A prickle ran up her spine. She glanced at the bookshelf, at the hall closet, at the ceiling. For the first time in years, she wondered if she was truly alone in her own house. By late morning, she was at the gallery, trying to immerse herself in routine. Customers came and went, asking about commissions and delivery schedules, but her mind was miles away. She kept imagining Aaron's face in the study, lit by the glow of his phone. That soft, secret smile. The tender voice she hadn't heard directed at her in weeks. At 1 p.m., she took an early lunch break in her office and searched the internet for private investigators. Just seeing the search results made her feel foolish, like a paranoid housewife in a movie. But paranoia had a reason. She knew it. That night, Aaron came home cheerful, carrying a bouquet of sunflowers, her favorite. Hey, babe, he said, kissing her cheek. You look beautiful today. The compliment landed like a stone. Lena forced a smile. Thanks. They ate dinner together, chicken stir-fry and white wine. He told her about a crazy client meeting that had gone late, about office drama with one of the interns. He laughed, he touched her hand, he acted like the man she had married. And yet, Lena couldn't shake the image of him whispering in the dark to someone else. When she asked casually, So, long day? You left pretty early this morning. Aaron's fork froze midair. Yeah, he said after a beat too long. Had to pick up materials from the warehouse. You were asleep. I didn't want to wake you. He smiled, easy and warm. Lena smiled back, but something in her gut twisted tight. That night, she couldn't sleep. The house creaked and shifted in the wind, ordinary sounds she'd never noticed before. But now, every soft groan of the floorboards felt like footsteps. Every shadow seemed to stretch and breathe. She got out of bed at 2 a.m. and crept to the window. A black SUV was parked across the street. She'd seen it before, always at night, always empty. She shivered and closed the curtains. The next day, she drove to Aaron's office. It was almost noon, and the parking lot was full. She spotted his car and felt a surge of both relief and dread. She walked to the front entrance, rehearsing an excuse. Maybe she'd bring him lunch, or say she was in the neighborhood. Through the glass walls of the open office, she saw him. Aaron sat at his desk, smiling at a woman leaning against the corner, Maya, the young designer from the holiday party. Her auburn hair glowed in the sunlight, and she was laughing at something on his phone. Aaron touched her arm, and Maya covered his hand with hers. Lena froze outside, her stomach dropping. Then Maya turned her head. Their eyes met through the glass. And Maya smiled. Not the polite smile of a colleague caught in a compromising position. Not the apologetic smile of someone who had been found out. It was slow, deliberate, and full of something that made Lena's blood run cold. She drove home in a daze, the city blurring past. The moment she walked into the townhouse, her phone buzzed. A new text from an unknown number. Do you ever wonder what it feels like to disappear? Lena's hands trembled. She typed back before she could stop herself. Who is this? The reply came immediately. You'll find out soon. That night, Aaron came home late again. You okay? He asked, his brow furrowed in genuine, or expertly faked, concern. Yeah, Lena whispered. But she was already planning. If she wanted to survive whatever this was becoming, she needed more than suspicion. She needed proof. She went to bed pretending to sleep, listening to Aaron's breathing. Hours passed. Then the mattress shifted. She cracked her eyes open just enough to see him standing over her, watching. His silhouette was motionless in the moonlight. After a moment, he leaned down and whispered, "Sleep well, babe." And then he left the room. Lena's heart pounded so hard she thought it would shake the bed. She stayed awake until morning, a plan forming in the darkness. If Aaron and Maya thought she would break quietly, they were wrong. The next morning, Lena called in sick to the gallery. She couldn't keep up the act anymore, smiling at customers, nodding at small talk, while her world crumbled in slow motion. Instead, she sat at the kitchen table with a legal pad and wrote 3 words in the center of the page. Who? Why? How? Under who? She wrote Aaron and Maya. Under why? She left it blank. And under how? She wrote in small, shaking letters. They want me gone. She started searching the house for more notes. Her hands combed through bookshelves, kitchen drawers, behind frames, under the bed. At first, she found nothing but dust and old receipts. Then, in the coat closet, tucked into the sleeve of Aaron's navy pea coat, she found it. A folded piece of paper. Her pulse thudded in her ears as she opened it. Soon, she'll know everything. And by then, it will be too late. The floor seemed to tilt beneath her. She grabbed the doorframe to steady herself, nausea rolling in her stomach. These weren't just taunts. They were a countdown. That afternoon, she called a private investigator, Walter Crane. His voice was low and gravelly, the kind that made you trust him or fear him. Sounds like your husband is playing a dangerous game, he said after she explained the situation. I can watch him, follow him, get you the proof you need. But if this escalates into threats, you need to call the cops. I can't, Lena whispered, glancing at the front door as if Aaron might walk in. Not yet. I need to be sure. Crane agreed to start that night. At 9 p.m., Aaron told her he was going to the office to finish some designs. Lena forced a smile. Don't work too hard. The moment he left, she called Crane. I'm on him, he said. You'll have photos by morning. Lena hung up and sank onto the sofa, trembling with adrenaline. For the first time in weeks, she felt like she had some control. But the control didn't last. Around 10:30, her phone buzzed. Unknown number again. Stop looking for answers you don't want. She froze. Slowly, she turned her head toward the windows. The curtains were drawn, but she had the sinking, visceral sense of being watched. She typed, "Who are you?" No reply. The next morning, she met Crane at a diner downtown. He slid a manila envelope across the table. You might want to brace yourself. Inside were a dozen high-resolution photos. Aaron and Maya at a rooftop bar, leaning close. Aaron kissing her neck in the parking garage. Aaron walking into a hotel with her just after midnight. Lena's chest constricted. But one photo made her blood run ice cold. A picture of her, standing in the gallery window, taken from across the street. I didn't take this, Crane said, frowning. Someone else is watching you. Lena's hands shook as she set the photo down. That evening, she decided to confront Aaron. When he came home, she was waiting in the living room with the envelope. Where were you last night? She asked, voice trembling. He blinked. I told you, late meeting at the office. Lena threw the photos on the coffee table. Aaron stared at them. His face went pale, then hard. Who the hell took these? That's all you have to say, she shouted, her voice breaking. You're sleeping with her, Aaron. You've been lying to me for months. He raked a hand through his hair, pacing. Lena, this isn't what it looks like. Don't you dare, she spat. Don't you dare gaslight me. He stopped, meeting her eyes with something dark and unreadable. You shouldn't have done this. That night, Lena slept with the bedroom door locked. At 3:14 a.m., she woke to the sound of something sliding under the door. Heart pounding, she slipped out of bed and crouched down. A piece of paper lay on the floor. She unfolded it with shaking hands. It's almost time. You can't hide forever. The next day, Crane called. You need to get out of that house, he said, his voice low and urgent. I've been tailing Aaron again, and I think he knows I'm watching him. He's careful, but he's not just meeting her anymore. He's meeting someone else too. Some guy I don't recognize. Lena's throat went dry. What do you mean? I mean, this is bigger than an affair, Crane said. Something's going on, and if I were you, I wouldn't sleep under that roof tonight. But Lena didn't leave. She couldn't. Some part of her needed to see it through, needed to know exactly what she was up against. That evening, she set up an old baby monitor in the hallway outside the bedroom and kept the receiver under her pillow. At 2:47 a.m., the monitor crackled to life. Footsteps. A whisper. She's still here. Another voice, low and male, replied. Not for long. Lena clapped a hand over her mouth to stop from screaming. When the footsteps faded, she slipped out of bed, shaking uncontrollably, and opened the bedroom door. The hallway was empty, but on the floor, just at the top of the stairs, was another note. Tomorrow night.